So when we find slope, and we're going to talk about that over the next couple of days, if we have a graph, we're going to do rise over run. If we're looking at a table, delta or change in y over change in x. And we also can use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This one in particular is on your formula chart, right? The biggest mistake people make with slope is in fact that they do x over y instead of y over x. So if you are unsure, you can always check your formula chart. We need to make sure we remember that we want to write slope as a fraction or a whole number, right? And it needs to be, if it's a fraction, it needs to be reduced, okay? So one of the things we're going to talk about today is we're going to find that slope number, and we are also going to draw a picture of what kind of line that would be, okay? So on a table, you might have learned y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can definitely do that. We can say x1, x2, y1, y2. Notice my 1s and my 2s match. So you can do this a couple of different ways. We could say, if we're setting up our fraction, we can say 7 minus 5 over 1 minus 0, right? Y1 minus from our formula, y2 over x1 minus from our formula, x1. And we can then put that in our calculator. Some of us can do that in our head. But remember, again, y over x. So we would get 2 over 1. You can leave it like that, or 2 over 1 is the same as what? 2. I would accept either of these answers, okay? If I needed to draw a line, puff, puff, positive, that is going to be a graph that would go up. Now, some of you, I don't know if you learned it like that in a table. You could also do change in y. How do we go from 5 to 7? Plus 2. How do we go from 0 to 1? Plus 1. So we could also do that, and we could just write 2 over 1. Oh, look, it matches exactly what we got here. So on this next one, now you have some negatives on this next one. If you don't like the negatives, don't do them. How do you go from 7 to 4?
Minus 3.
Minus 3. Make sure you have a sign. And from 2 to 4 is plus 2. So is it 2 over negative 3 or negative 3 over 2? Negative 3 over 2. And guys, that does not simplify. We're going to leave it. We're not going to write it as a decimal. I do want you to remember that negatives can be in the top. They can be in the middle. They can be in the bottom, as long as one of them is negative, okay? All of these are the same thing. Which direction is this line going to go? Nice negative, right? Going down. All right, so I have a bunch of negatives on this next one. I'm just going to come down here. I don't really like to deal with my negatives, so if I don't have to, I'm not going to. It doesn't actually matter which 2 points you use. It will work out the same every time. How do we go from 1 to 4? Plus 3. How do I go from 15 to 19? Plus 4, right? Change in y, change in x. That does not simplify. 3 over 4 is just 3 over 4. What does that line look like? Up, down, flat, vertical. Up, puff, puff, positive, right? All right, so let's look here. I'm going to actually stick on this top part because there's no negatives. Again, negatives are not like my super favorite thing. Positives are just easier. How do we go from 4 to 8?
Plus 4.
Plus 4. How do we go from 6 to 0?
Minus 6.
Minus 6. Make sure you're very careful with your signs. So change in y was 4. Change in x is a negative 6. Put that in your calculator. What does it tell us? Because that is not reduced or simplified. Simplify always. And it is 2 over negative 3. Or again, you could put that negative wherever you wanted. What kind of line is this? Nice negative, right? Negatives are going to go down. So slope is going to give us a value and a direction. That's the key. And a direction. What about this next one? Oh, wow, I've got a bunch of negatives. So it doesn't really matter where I choose. So how do I go from 6 to 6? plus 0. How do I go from negative 18 to negative 16? Plus 2, because it's going up. Yep. So my y's are not changing. It's a 0 over a 2. Put that in your calculator for me. Tell me what it says. 0 over 2 is, this is 0, right? Because if I have 0 friends and I have 2 cookies, I have no one to share it with. What does this look like? This line look like? Yeah, 0 fun. Cross-country skiing is 0 fun when it's flat. This is a horizontal line. Horizontal. And you can remember because 0, right? The 0 and the O in horizontal.
Oh my God.
Let's look at this next one. Again, choose any points. How do I go from 5 to 7?
You have to add 2.
Add 2. What about 4 to 4?
0.
All right, so be careful here. So is this 0 over 2 or 2 over 0? 2 over 0. Put that one in your calculator.
We have already
It says undefined, which is a vertical line. Yes. This is a vertical line.
This way, yeah.
Okay. Vertical. So on points, remember, we are doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And if you're not sure how to label them, remember on a coordinate, it always goes xy. And then the ones just mean it's the first one. And the twos just mean it's the second one, right? This is the first coordinate. That's the second coordinate. So when you plug this in, be very cautious of that minus. So it says y2. What's my y2? 4. And then I have this minus from my formula, right? y2 minus, what's y1? 5 over x2 is 2, and I have my minus from my formula, and my x1 is 3. All right, so we got negative 1 over negative 1. If you did it in your head or if you use your calculator, it will tell you just 1. We can also write 1 over 1. Both of these are the same thing. What kind of line is this? Is it going up, down, flat, or vertical? Up. Very nice. Let's label this one, right? I have x1, y1. Those are just my first set. This is my second set, x2, y2. So again, we're just plugging that into our formula up here. So y2 is 2. I have a minus from my formula, and then y1 is 3. x2 is 0, minus from my formula. x1 is 6, and now you can use your calculator. When we put this in the calculator, we actually get negative 1 over negative 6, but the calculator will simplify it to that positive for us. It needs to be a positive. Do not write this as a decimal. 1, it is a very ugly decimal. Slope needs to be a fraction. What direction is this line going? Positive. Very nice. Going up. Label your points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're going to start with, now there's some negatives on here, so just be careful. Negative 8 minus from my formula. What's my y1? 5. Well, x2 is 7. I have a minus from my formula. What's my x1 this time? Negative 4. You have to have the minus from the formula and then the negative 4. Don't write that minus one time. Those are two separate things. So we get negative 13 over 11. We're not going to change that. It's a very ugly decimal. What direction is this line going? Down. Always, always label, x1, y1, x2, y2. So we have 6, and then from my equation, minus, and then I have my y1 is negative 3, x2 is 6, minus, my x1 is 9. So we get 9 over negative 3, but put that in your calculator. What does that simplify to? negative 3. You might also see negative 3 over 1 because remember, if there's a 1 on the bottom, it's the same thing. What direction is this line? Down. Label, 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 always x1, y1, x2, y2. So 3, and then again the minus from our formula, and then now my y1 is a negative 4. Make sure you have both because they are not the same. 8 minus 1. Use your calculator or your brain. This comes out to, if we do it by hand, 7 over 7, and our calculator tells us that is just 1, or 1 over 1. What direction? Up. So real quick, you should have labeled this. So we have y2 minus y1, 7 over x2 minus x1. This is 2 over 0. What'd you get when you did 2 over 0? Undefined. What kind of line is this? This is a vertical. I want to see both. I want to see the value and the line. Number 7, you should have said negative 8 minus a negative 8 over 2 minus 0, which is 0 over 2, which is just 0. What kind of line is this? Horizontal, right? It's flat. 0 slope. All right, negative 3 minus 9 over 2 minus 4. Negative 12 over negative 2. You could write positive 6 over 1 or just 6. What direction is this line? What direction? Positive. It's going up. And the last one, negative 3 minus a negative 16. Negative 4 minus 12 is, what is that, 13 over negative 16, and that does not simplify. That one is going down.